Welcome and thank you all for joining us. We're going to start off with the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. All right. Again, thank you all for coming. It's a week before Thanksgiving, so next week we'll be all stuffed with turkey or ham or whatever your choice is. Could I have an adoption of the agenda, please?
Make a motion to adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you. Second. All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Okay, great. And we will move on down to the Superintendent's Report.
Thank you, President Doan. Under student performance, 2 LSR7 Jobs for America's Graduates essay winners were honored by Governor Mike Parson at the Governor's Mansion last week. Congratulations to Lee Summit North Andy Medrano and Lee Summit West Emily Hubbard for their award-winning essays. The Lee Summit North boys swim team had an impressive weekend at the state swim meet this past weekend. The team brought home 6 gold medals and broke 2 state records. Congratulations to the team and head coach Thomas Falkenberry. Congratulations to 7 Summit Technology Academy engineering students who are the top 20 finalists for Burns and McDonald's Battle of the Brains STEM competition. The team needs to win the public vote in order to see their proposal become a $1 million exhibit at Science City. You can find a voting link on the district's social media sites. Voting closes tomorrow evening. Under highly qualified staff, before and after school services director Dawn Butler and assistant director Christy Fate accepted the Distinguished Professional Award from the Missouri After School Networks. Congratulations, Ms. Butler and Ms. Fate, for your well-deserved recognition. One of our bus drivers, Nancy Benj, known to our students as Miss Nancy, received a visit during Transportation Department meeting from KCTV5's Surprise Squad. Her segment aired yesterday. Thank you for taking care of our students, Mrs. Benj. Under facilities and support, we are nearing the end of our information gathering stage of the proposed no tax increase bond issue that the Board of Education will consider later this year. The Citizens Advisory Committee met recently on Tuesday, November 19th, to discuss specific projects and costs for tentative bond issue proposal. The committee hopes to finalize their proposal to recommend to the board by December 9th. The district leadership will continue to meet regularly with the Citizens Advisory Committee regarding information related to the bond process in an anticipated April 2020 bond issue. In regards to parent and community involvement, our LSR7 team did a wonderful job of connecting veterans and community members with our schools. We're grateful to our veterans for their service and to our educators for their hard work in making that day extra special for our whole school community. Meadow Lane Elementary hosted our fall 2019 Senior Citizens Tour. Dr. Cheryl Cochran and her team showed attendees their Kauffman Foundation grant-funded Smart Lab. Students also gave tour guests a sample of their upcoming holiday choir performance. Thank you to those students and staff of Meadow Lane for inviting our guests to see what it means to be #R7 Future Ready. Thank you.
Ryan has one really fast thing.
I just wanted to say good luck to Lee Summit High School and Lee Summit West High School boys soccer teams. They're in the Final Four tomorrow in St. Louis. So I just wanted to wish both of them good luck.
That just shows how strong and competitive Lee Summit is. It's awesome. All right, we will start off with presentations. Jackie, you had the first one.
Thank you. For those who didn't know, in 1921, the American Education Week began in order to improve public awareness about the significance of education. Nearly a century ago, when the effort was initiated, almost a quarter of World War I draftees were illiterate. Since its inception, American Education Week has evolved into an opportunity to remember the history of our nation's impact on education and to recognize our schools' influence on students and families today and in the future. Our Lee Summit schools are prized as one of, it says our communities, we have several communities, I always remind everybody, most important resources. New neighbors settle in Lee Summit because of our excellent school system, and this significantly benefits our community's business and industry interests. Our students' success and the excellence of our schools are a product of the work of our extraordinary staff. Representing our teachers this evening are some of the Excellence in Teaching Award winners for 2019-2020. I'd like the group to welcome the following individuals. For Excellence in Teaching, Kaylee Bierce, Shelley Etherton, sorry, I was looking up and not reading, Allison Fortney, Jennifer Johnson, Ashley Jones, Jody Mahuron, Chris Muntz, Lisa Euler, Kelly Taylor. Oh, I'm sorry, Kenny, sorry. This is what happens with glasses. Sometimes I don't read correctly. It's pretty funny. Don't call my doctor. Do we want to bring the group separately or collectively? Just for photos? Bring them all up? Okay. And then our teacher of distinction, Jonathan Creaky. And last but not least, our Excellence in Teaching 2019 Teacher of the Year in Lee Summit R7 and semifinalist Missouri Teacher of the Year, who's already coming forward, Blake Little. Congratulations, everyone. We probably should be planning the century mark celebration to really do something up nicely.
I would ask that Ms. Lindy Dean come forward. Ms. Dean works as a paraprofessional at Miller Park Center, and she'll represent all district educational support professionals tonight. Every year during American Education Week, National Educational Support Professional Day is celebrated on Wednesday. That would have been yesterday. And it commends the work of school support employees. Our district's building clerks, resource aides, and paraprofessionals are instrumental to employee productivity and the preparation of all of our students for success. Through National Education Support Professionals Day, we honor our school support team members for their tireless efforts to give each of our students and our colleagues the tools they need to thrive. And including in that would be really all of our support staff, our bus drivers, nutrition, our secretaries in the buildings, who all are part of our total educational support team. So thank every one of those groups who works in R7.
This is a very special honor tonight to be able to present this to the audience. Before I start, the Leader in Me School, when I retired, I had the opportunity to work with some other school districts that did this and had just begun, and I think it's such a super program. So tonight, Pleasant Lee Elementary is a Leader in Me school and has maintained a lighthouse status for the past 4 years. Part of the program is to provide students with an opportunity to develop their leadership skills through a variety of leadership groups. Principal Aaron Barnett, Assistant Principal Jonna Sutton, Counselor Thana Langford, and a few of the Pleasant Lee Elementary students are here to share with you more information on the Peer Tri-Age Leadership Group. Turn it over to you.
All right. First of all, I'd like to thank the Board of Education for giving Pleasantly Elementary an opportunity to come and showcase a little bit about our school. I wish I had an hour, but Dr. Kephart told me, I think more than most principals, Aaron, you only have 5 to 7 minutes, so keep it that short. So with that, as you mentioned, as a Leader in Me Lighthouse School, we work hard to provide our students with opportunities to find their voice through various variety of leadership roles. Tonight, through a 100% student-produced video, we will provide you a sneak peek to our peer triage leadership group at PLE. Our peer triage leaders provide a consistent check-in and accountability partner for younger students who work towards a daily goal sheet with the guidance of their leaders. All leaders receive training provided by Ms. Langford, our school counselor, who's here tonight, at the start of the year, and with consistent check-ins with Ms. Langford throughout the year to help them problem-solve issues that come up with their younger peer triage buddies. This year, we have 26 peer triage leaders, along with 26 buddies, that are making a positive impact each and every day at PLE. So we have a little short video here that shows a little bit about our program. And while the video is playing, if I can have all my students that are here come on up here to the front with me while the video is playing.
I kind of thought it was cool that I get to peer triage a younger student and help like seeing his highs and lows throughout the day, and then at the end of the day him always smiling, it just lights up my day, and that I know that I taught him well enough for him to become a peer triage buddy himself.
I loved how Zach was really nice to me, and he would always give me different goals and give me really nice rewards for it. And then at the end of the year, I started to get really good days. The following year, I got a peer triage buddy, and now I'm peer triaging, and Zach passed it on to me.
I like how my buddy tells me like about like what her day was like, and like what story she like was doing, and how she like made friends and stuff.
I like whenever my buddy gets at least a 10 out of 10, because I always ask him how he rates his days, and like if he gets like a 5 out of 10, I'll tell him like get like a 6 out of 10 or a 10 out of 10. And I think the best part about that was you get to see them like grow and progression and stuff like that. And it's also like, say you had like a bad day and you didn't have a bad day, but like you didn't have the best of days, and then your buddy's coming out of his classroom, skipping with his goal sheet out, having 200%, and it's your day gets lit up so much better, and you're like, you have a jolt of accomplishment, and it's just so much, it just lights up your day, and it's great.
Now, like Aiden said, I'm his buddy, and like it's just been good to see him like having better days than before. Like, cause at the start he would sometimes be going to the safe seat at recess, or going to the safe seat in class, or just not getting along with someone. And now it's just good to see him that he's having so many good days. And like I know last year, at one point of time, his teacher took him out of peer triage, and I had to get a new buddy, and I didn't want a new buddy, and I was like really upset about it. And so then I talked to Mrs. Langford, and she talked to his teacher, and then his teacher put him back in peer triage, and like Aiden really helped me like have better days than before at the start of the year.
So Marcus, really, every time I get to see Marcus, it's really like it's one of the best times of my whole entire day that I get to see Marcus. And whenever I do, we have a big conversation. Sometimes we even have some fun days with the talking.
All right. Come on over here. I'm going to let these guys get a little practice here, saying their name and their grade, and look at the board, and you guys can just pass around. Here you go.
My name is Aiden Smith, and I go to Pleasantly Elementary, and I'm a 6th grader.
My name is Emily Bake. I'm in 4th grade, and I'm a peer triage leader.
My name's Owen Smith. I'm in 6th grade, and I'm one of the people that made the video.
I'm Natalie Newkirk, and I'm in 5th grade.
And like I mentioned before, I have with me, I have our counselor, Miss Thana Langford, and my assistant principal, Jonna Sutton, who has a lot of work behind the scenes to make this successful. It's been an awesome program for us at PLE. I encourage you, if you want to learn more about it or want to see it in action, you are always more than welcome to come over. We have kids doing it throughout the day, mainly at the beginning of the school and at the end of school, but anytime that they need that help from their older peers in their school, we're there to provide it for them. So thank you.
Okay, item 3.04, our second school spotlight tonight is on Miller Park Center, and so Principal Kelly Twinter will share information about Miller Park.
Thank you for the opportunity to talk to you guys about Miller Park. I got the same recommendation for 5 to 7 minutes, so I'm going to try and talk real fast, so bear with me as I go. Miller Park Center has been serving special education students since 2009. We feature 3 specialized programs that support students. The RISE program, which stands for Relationship Building Intervention-Based Social Emotional Program, serves identified students that need specialized programming in the area of social, emotional, and behavioral support. The FLIGHT program, which stands for Functional Language Intensive Growth and Hands-On Teaching, serves students who struggle with significant behaviors due to challenges with communication. The GREAT program, which stands for Gaining Real-Life Experience and Training, serves life skill students ranging from 18 to 21 and who need specialized support in the area of transition and employable skills. And if you need a little cheat sheet, I got a little card there for you so you can remember all those acronyms. All of our students who attend Miller Park come recommended for change of placement by their IEP team. We serve entirely special education students. In most cases for our RISE and FLIGHT program, our goal is to assist students with the skills needed to transition back to their supported home schools. We provide a trauma-sensitive environment that allows for students to have a safe place to make the right decision, which is our mission. When thinking about all the positives we could share about our school, the following things come to mind. 38 students who successfully transitioned back to their home schools from the RISE and FLIGHT programs over the past 5 years. 70% of our great graduates and alumni have left the program with paid positions. But truly, what separates our school is our service for the one. Our district kicked off the year with a song about us having one voice. An individualized education program, or IEP, is all about how we simplify the work to what the one student needs on a given day. And we have approximately 50 of the one student that needs our care. We are blessed to serve the one who needs us most. Here's a short video of what each of our staff members do to support the one, and a few examples of the why that we do it.
I am the one.
I am the one.
I am the one.
This is the sound of one voice.
I help the one who feels they aren't good enough or worthy of change, and provide as much TLC, grace, empathy, and understanding in their journey to self-love.
I help the ones find their voice to communicate their wants and needs.
I help the ones who want to learn how to cook by themselves.
I help the one who needs an extra hello.
I help the one that is learning to communicate in their own way with those around them.
I help the one that needs their curriculum modified so they can experience success in the classroom.
I help the one stay focused.
I help the one get to and from school.
I am the one.
The sound of voices too.
At the Miller Park Flight Program, we help those who need to learn how to cope, understand the world around them, learn new skills to be successful members of the community, and advocate for those who cannot advocate for themselves.
I help the one who not only needs the help, but also tries to figure it out for himself.
I help the one who feels forgotten.
I help the one that has medical needs throughout the day.
I'm here at Miller Park to help the one student providing a safe experience during individualized medical care.
I help the one who needs a smile throughout the day.
I am a Miller Park preferred sub, and I help the ones that can't always be there to help the ones. Miller Park!
I am here for the student that requires consistent expectations, which will help decrease emotional behavior. Being consistent helps this student and I address the problem and not focus on what went wrong.
I help the ones who are misunderstood by teaching them proper forms of communication.
I am the one.
This is the sound of voices three. Singing together.
We help the one become happy and confident in life.
And productive members of their community.
I help the one by offering meal choices so that no one leaves the cafeteria hungry.
I help the one with communication barriers express their wants and needs and feel loved.
I help the one who is learning how to make safe choices.
I help the one that needs to hear I love you every day.
I help the one to stay on task.
I help the one that wants to learn where their food comes from and how to grow it themselves.
I help the one by creating intervention plans that ensure student and staff safety.
Apoyo a la persona que habla español y necesita ayuda con su comunicación. Apoyo a la familia y los empleados que necesitan un intérprete.
I help the one that needs help connecting.
I help the one that needs to feel safe and loved working through a tough moment.
Hi, I'm the one who helps the children that sign so they can communicate with their friends.
I'm blessed to work with the one that has challenges being in the classroom and requires one-to-one attention. And I'm blessed that I can work with this student because I know he has the potential to make it in life.
I help the one who has not yet acquired the skills to help themselves.
I help the one who is learning how to play with others.
I help the one learn new ways to communicate.
I help the ones who don't know how to ask for help.
And on.
I help the one that needs a family.
I help the one that has a hard time building trust in relationships.
I help the one who has lost the light in their eyes to be relit.
We help the ones see their abilities, not their disabilities.
This is the sound of one voice.
Yo soy uno de that one.
I am the one.
Thank you for the opportunity to fill you guys in a little bit about Miller Park. Yeah.
I'm going to rewind the clock just a couple of seconds because Kelly Twinter was the LSR7 Teacher of the Year some years ago. So kudos and congrats to him. Great job. All right, well, it's my honor, privilege to introduce Rick McDowell. He's our president and CEO of Lee Summit Economic Development Council, who will provide the annual report for LSEDC, a proud Missouri Tiger, and Jeff City Jaybird himself.
That's correct. Thank you. Thank you, Mike. Appreciate it. Well, I am Rick McDowell. I'm the president and CEO of the Lee Summit Economic Development Council. As Mr. Allen said, I am here to give the annual report. Basically, what I want to do is just go through some of the things that we've done throughout the year, some of the things that we've had success at, talk about our relationships and how we partner with the school system. Here you can see this is our mission, and I'm not going to read all this, but I tell you the best way for me to describe this in very simple terms is our job is to create new capital investment and new jobs. That is our primary job for us to do. Now, we do that in many ways. It is by attraction, it is by retention, it's by expansion, and workforce development. That is the key note right now that we're going through is workforce development. And you are a key partner as a school system with us in that regards. And you're probably the number one thing that we sell and promote when we are talking and trying to attract or retain people here, will be our school system. So you play a big part in that, just so you know. Here is briefly our executive committee. You can see there are some of the finer folks in our community. Dr. Emily Miller sits on our executive committee and our board. And so we'll talk more about that here in the future. Here is the year in review, if you will. You can see that these are the projects we've been working on. You see we were asked to be a part of 38 projects. Now, you can see the distribution and how it works out, but let me fill you in a little bit about how that works and what's going on there. We had 38 projects. We submitted 23 proposals for those. That is a substantial number on an annual basis. That's a lot higher than we have in the past. I've been here, this is my 6th year. This is the highest year we've had for proposals. That is a good thing. I anticipate this will continue to grow, and we will continue to see more of those. And you probably ask why we did not submit on those other 15. Primarily, that is because most of these companies are looking for available buildings. And when I say available buildings, we're talking about normally they're in the range of 50 to 250,000 square feet. We do not have any of those here, be it industrial or office. So we do not have that. That's a good thing, but it also is a lacking when it comes to marketing and trying to attract. If we don't have them, we can't submit. So that is, if there is anything that's down on our end, is that we do not have that, but we have full buildings. We are not losing people. That is the primary reason. You'll see here, the other thing I want to point out, manufacturing. 12 new manufacturers had an opportunity to attract. That's another record. We've never had that many since I've been here. I think we're seeing that throughout the United States. We're seeing more manufacturing come into the area, and we're getting our shot at those also. You can see the breakdowns from here, but basically, the 2 headquarters, we are still working on one of those headquarters. So we have an opportunity to win those folks. You'll see here that I said that in the next one we've got down, we've had 5 projects that we submitted that actually made a visit. Typically, when a visit happens, the company, you're within the top 5 of their search. And so when they come here, they're then trying to determine, is this a location we could work in, or is this someplace that we want to be and operate our business? Now, when they get here, we typically only get about 2 hours with them. So we have to show them quickly what are our attributes and what we can do for them. Again, last year, I will tell you, of the 5 that came, 3, the first thing they wanted to know about was workforce development and where we're going to get our employees and where we're going to train and where was our workforce of the future. So we spent a lot of time with them talking about what our capabilities are here with our education system and our trained workforce. So that is still very important to us. In addition, I said that we have 1 that's still in the headquarters. We actually have 3 projects, including the 1 headquarters. 2 of the 2 manufacturers, we are currently the top list in Missouri for the opportunity to be here. So we hope that something will change here in the near future, that we may have something that we can announce. The projects aren't done at this point in time, but we may have an opportunity to have a new manufacturer here. So we hope that will continue going forward. I want to talk a little bit about the wins. You see here, Project IBC. IBC moved their headquarters here. For those of you who aren't familiar with them, they are a company that basically provide traffic signaling when there is projects going on highways and within construction sites. They brought their headquarters here. They are a minority-owned business. They built a brand-new facility out near the airport in the Lakewood Business Park. So we're very proud to have them here. You're going to see that they opened their doors they moved in this month, and they will be doing their grand opening here in 2020. One thing I want to talk about, I think this time last year, we were just talking about the Toys R Us facility, which is 750,000 square feet. And I'm not sure if I mentioned it or not. We did fill that. We had a company that came in and purchased that building, and I want to give you a quick update about that. They came in, they started operating, they are now sending out their materials. What they service 700 stores, retail stores from this facility. They are a co-op buying group. Their sales are $6.5 billion. We lost about 200 employees when Toys R Us left the community and filed for bankruptcy. They're currently now at 100 employees and continue to grow. They have taken that facility and made it fully automated. And so they will become shipping their product out in March with full automation. That will also increase. Most times when automation happens, you see decreases in employment. This is going to increase their employment. So we expect them by the time first quarter to second quarter, we'll have another 50 employees there. So I wanted to give you that quick update because that was happening right about this time last year. So I didn't really get into that too much. Next, I want to talk about workforce development. You see here a little bit, Tina Chase is our director of that. Tina has been with us for 5 years. But you can see some of the things, the attributes that we're doing right now. Again, as I said earlier, that's our number one product right now. When people come in, that's the number one thing they want to know about is workforce. And this is something that we've done a lot of this year and tried to continue to grow that. You can see the various alliance and partnerships that we have. We're involved in every aspect of that. Quite honestly, we're thought of as a leader in workforce development in the Kansas City metro area and in the region. Mainly because of what we have to offer. MIC, STA, those are things that no one else has. And it's something that we use and promote all the time as a great attribute to us. I'm going to continue on with some of our collaborations. You can see some of the things that we've done over the last year. And I'm going to try to stay within that 5 minutes. So I'm going to continue on pretty quickly here. Some of the things that we've done and we're very proud of, we're one of the only few communities that does the National Manufacturing Day. There's very few in the metro area that does it. This is our 3rd year. Last year we had 75 students that came in 2 or 3 manufacturing facilities. We will continue on to do that. We feel very strong that that is something we need to continue and promote. You can see here again some more of our collaborations. We continue to act as the business community. We go to them and ask them what we can do for them to help them with their education, their workforce. I think that's been something that's come on very strong. I think we're going to continue to see more of that. Those people, our workforce right now, or our businesses are wanting to be leaders in that, in the metro. I think you look at St. Luke's as a hospital that we can do a lot more with and we'll continue to do more with. But these are things that we want to continue to move forward with in the workforce development. Here, this is just a listing of our partners that we use and we feel very strongly about collaborating with and we'll continue to do so. Our partnership with the school system. I think this is extremely important. I will tell you, we are the envy of a lot of the economic development community. No one seems to have a partnership like we do with our school system. We are constantly asked, how do you get this? How do you manage that? We feel that a lot of it has to be with the attributes that we have, again, with our school system, with the MIC and STA. But it also is just the fact that we've got a school system and members of the management and administration that want to be a part of this and want to help our businesses. Very few communities have that. So it's something that we kind of tout quite a bit about and we feel very good. You can see some of the things that we do as an organization. As I said, Dr. Miller, we have a superintendent. We have one-on-one sessions. We've actually just started to do those. That's been kind of reinstated. It was something I've done in the past, and we had a little bit of a lapse, and now we're going to continue to go back to doing that. As addition, you can see that between Tina and myself, you can see that we're on an awful lot of the committees and boards here with the school system, and we will continue to do that also. Is there any questions at this point in time of me? I kind of wanted to go through this pretty quickly, but I make you aware that these are the things that we're working on and will continue to work on.
Thank you. That one slide on the groups and partnerships that are participating in EDC, that one. I was just checking, is the Blue Springs School District still a member?
They are still a member.
Of LS?
Yes.
Okay, all right, very good. And can you tell me, I know you showed the executive committee, and you have listed your prospects, and I think you know I'm on the state chamber board, so.
I am aware of that.
I'm really engaged with their Workforce 2030 program and getting that pushed forward in the state. I'm really glad to hear your report about us being finalists in some of these opportunities. And the time period that you're reporting on was December 18th to essentially the current month. I know that I've had conversations with the mayor, and we've talked about the community and how it's viewed in the wake of the initial discussions about equity. Can you give us a sense if any of those headlines have either been an impairment for your work, or people have said, hey, we're really glad you're engaging in this, or has it even been a factor in any of the discussions?
From outside the area, we have heard some, but not a lot. I will say this, it has not affected the companies from outside that we're trying to attract. That has not seemed to be a factor. If it has been, we have not been notified of that. But so at this point in time, I would say there has not been major effect of that.
Anybody have any other questions for Rick?
Very good.
We really appreciate your support.
No, thank you. I appreciate everything you guys have done and everything that this administration has done for us. We appreciate very much. Thank you.
All right, we are going to move into 5.01. Mr. Allen, would you like to? Oh, I'm sorry. Did we have any public comments?
No, we did not.
Thank you. Sorry about that. All right, thanks, Mike.
No, no report. Kim's reporting on the Government Relations Committee that we attended.
Ready?
Oh, okay. All right. First, I'd like to, the report from the Lee Summit Educational Foundation, and they say, let's go to the movies. The Lee Summit Educational Foundation's next Connect for Kids event will be all day on Thursday, December 5th at Blue Springs 8 Miller Theaters located on 7 Highway. Go to a movie anytime, day or night, on December 5th. Mention that you're there to help kids through the foundation, and Miller Theaters will donate 15% back to the foundation, including concessions. Thanks to our LSEF board member, Jeanette Miller, for making this Connect for Kids event possible. Also, as we near the holidays, the foundation is very thankful for those who support our students through their time and their resources. And if you haven't had an opportunity to give yet this year, we encourage you to support the foundation's Helping Hands Fund, which provides for students in need. And that is a great fund, and it really does, when there is a one-time need of a parent, let's say, and the social workers have tried to exhaust every resource to help that family. It might be a rent payment for 1 month, or it might be some materials their kiddos need. That Helping Hands Fund is the one, if you can contribute to that fund, that we help those special families that are in need. So thanks for your consideration for that. Switching gears now to the Government Relations Committee for the Lee Summit Chamber of Commerce. We last met on October the 25th, and that meeting featured a federal legislative update. We heard reports from representatives of Senator Roy Blunt, Senator Josh Hawley, and Representative Emmanuel Cleaver. They discussed the legislative priorities for the session. And during roundtable, I wanted you all to know that during roundtable at those meetings, Mr. Allen and I both provide the group with updates from our school district so that not only do we go and we listen to what's going on around our city, state, and even nationally, but we have an opportunity to let those folks in the room know what's going on with our school district. And Mr. Allen, did you have anything you wanted to add about that? Okay, thanks.
Ryan?
I'll be giving the finance report here in just a second, and then I went to a couple of those soccer games, so that was pretty fun. That's about it.
Dennis?
We had, we're very thick into right now, the Citizens Advisory Committees, we've had several meetings in the past, more than we normally have, because of the potential of the school bond election in April. And we have several more coming up over the course of the next few weeks as we get to Christmas break. So that's taking the majority of the time now as far as committee work goes.
Awesome, thank you. Judy?
I don't have anything to add about CAC, but the only other thing I attended was I got an invitation to attend Lee Summit Cares State of the Youth kickoff, and we had a great presentation by several students and talking about different types of supports, social emotional needs of our youth today. So it was a great opportunity, and also there were a number of community resources in the audience as well. So that was a great luncheon that we had.
Thank you. Jackie?
Thank you. Like Ryan, I've been engaged with sports, and I was in attendance for the senior day for the state champion Bronco swim and dive team. So that was exciting to be able to see those guys through the year. And I also I think everybody's well aware of what's going on with Jackson County and the reassessments, and I've been engaged with some of the elected officials, both locally as well as state legislators who are going to be governing that policy this next year and the discussions they'll have in Jeff City. In addition, the Missouri Chamber Board of Directors met last week, and they have reached out to me about getting folks connected with their internship programs. So we'll be following up on that. I just got that the other day. Was in attendance for an equity meeting dialogue with Dr. Miller last night, who did a fine job of representing our district. I want to let everybody know and to spread the love around. I learned last week that Lee Summit West right now is leading the pack through the western part of the state or the metro area for the most applications to MU. So keep up the good work there, Titans. And December 1st is their deadline for scholarship applications online, so I wanted to mention that. And, of course, no one mentioned we're all still engaged in this search process, so we've all been engaged around that. And then finally, I just want to mention we had some sad news yesterday that one of our students at Sunset Valley has left us. And she passed on, not physically like leaving the community. So I just want everybody to keep that family in their prayers. Thank you.
All right, thank you. I did have a lot of Lee Summit Cares information. We did take a drug take back day, and I'm sure Kim Fritchie won. No. You didn't? No, Lee Summit Medical Center. Oh, okay, all right. So, and then we did have the State of the Youth Address, and we had 3 young ladies to speak to us at the luncheon. That was great. And wanted to let you know that in the start of 2019, we had some federal drug-free communities grant end its 10 years. So we were a little nervous and wondering about the future of Lee Summit Cares, but luckily, through the, and thankfully, through the funding of Health Forward Foundation, Greater Lee Summit Healthcare Foundation, Federal Stop Act grant, and several community members. Lee Summit Cares is moving into 2020, and we are going to be fully funded. So that was one of the better things that we worked on this year. And then the Mayor's Character Breakfast will be held on January 23rd. And I wanted to thank Kim for reaching out to me. She was unable to attend the Lee Summit Education Foundation board meeting. She was visiting an aunt, good for you, this last Tuesday. So I took her place. And it's just amazing to me, and I know how much this committee works, but sitting around the table, and I think there was only one person there that had a child in school still. And it's just amazing to me how hard they work to raise money for our students. So that was really, it was just really heartwarming. I was going to give Cheryl Frankie a little hard time, but she's not here. I was just going to tell her that she's fabulous, but that committee really helps her become fabulous too. So it's just a great committee. So, and that the Taste of Lee Summit is March 7th, and the theme is 2020 Vision. So, and then we also talked about, and I didn't know this because I don't shop Amazon, but there's the Amazon Smiles that you can go on, and all those donations, they give 0.5% of the price of what you're buying, and that can go to any organization. So remember Lee Summit Education Foundation at that time. And Mike and I had Team Lee Summit, and we sent out a survey, and hopefully you all took the survey. And that we will get those results. We meet January 9th, and that will be something that we will work on all the findings and on the surveys, so that will be really fun. I see a couple people from Team Lee Summit out there, so we will work on that, and I think that's it. We'll move on to item number 6, the finance report.
All right, finance report, test afterward for everybody. Here we go. We have a transfer of funds of $3,229,804.79 that will be needed from the general fund to the special revenue fund to cover expenses for the month. Our investments through October total approximately $74.5 million. And the revenue and expense report, our expense percentages are within expected budget parameters, and the current fund balance for October is 15.23%. Construction and maintenance update. The Finance Committee reviewed updates on the following projects: the Woodland Sewer improvements, Westview roof improvements, Lee Summit West retaining wall improvements. I'm ready for that one to get off of the list there. Paving improvements and planning for future projects. A few other quick notes. Khajiit hotspots. The committee discussed the Khajiit contract, which will provide 25 mobile hotspots that will be available in the library and media centers at all 3 of our middle schools, and will be available for students who have a need through a checkout system. The hotspots will be given as needed to the middle schools based upon actual student counts and where the need is shown. Rock Hill orthopedic specialists have agreed to provide athletic trainers at all of our middle school home wrestling matches and basketball games at our 3 middle schools. This will be at a reduced price, and they will break even on their costs. Maryland Maka Consulting. The goal of the training is to increase results and deliver high-level mindset training that develops skills for collaborative well-being, resilience, building trust, and high performance. The training will be provided to the instructional operation team. And lastly, the Panorama Student Success Platform and Surveys. This service, and it'll actually be on the agenda here in just a little bit. This service includes surveys to access the voices of students and families to further our understanding, increase parent and community engagement to support district-wide school improvement efforts, and increase opportunities for community and family learning as shared in the equity plan. The data will provide insights into trends over time, gaps that exist, strengths, and areas for growth. I have 2 motions tonight. 6.02, to approve the transfer of $3,229,804.79 from the general fund to the special revenue fund.
Second.
All right. Does anybody have any questions? All right, all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Aye. All those opposed, say aye.
And 6.03, to approve the treasurer's report and payment of the bills.
Second.
Okay, motion and a second. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed? All right, thank you very much. We are moving down to item number 7, items for decision in our consent agenda. Are there any questions on those? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor say, oh yeah, sorry.
I move to approve the consent agenda items as presented.
Jackie, do you have a question?
I do. I just more kind of a procedural thing. The legislative priorities, I've been seeing some communication from MSBA. You all should have had it as well. I'm not sure that we've been adequately engaged in giving feedback to them on some of the questions regarding policy. And I think there's going to be some, various pieces of legislation that we're going to have to be a little more nimble about going forward. But I don't have any objection to proceeding tonight with this item.
Judy?
I'm sorry, I have a question, just for really transparency and knowledge on board policy, the DI on the fiscal accounting and reporting. I think it would be helpful if we publicize where that information is available to somewhere easily accessible on our website so that people can review that in compliance with that section of law. That was my only comment. And it may be there, I haven't been able to find it yet, but it could, all right.
All right, thank you. Kim Fritchie?
Just a comment about our legislative priorities that Member Clark brought up. I have had a conversation with President Doan about that, and we agreed that we would discuss those on our December session. Is that correct?
Right.
Okay, so that discussion is coming, and then as the representatives for us to MSBA, Judy and I can take that information back to MSB and report back to them as required by January. So we'll take care of it.
All right, thank you. Any other concerns on item number 7? Okay. All those in favor say aye. 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 All those opposed say aye. Okay. Did not have anything in 8. So we're going to move down here to 9, items for decision and approve new contracts over $5,000. Do we have any questions on any of those items?
I would make a motion, I would move that the board approve new contracts over $5,000 as presented in consent agenda items 9.02 through 9.08.
Second.
Okay, I have a second. Does anybody have any questions? Jackie?
In regard to, mostly because I've been doing some reading on the old state audit, the item 9.05 sole source, we don't have too many of those, and I just found it a little surprising that a coaching consultancy would be hard to find. I don't think those are unicorns. I mean, they have a chapter of coaches here in the metropolitan area. We don't approve many of those. That's why I'm asking.
Dr. Kepper, do you want to speak to the consultant?
We went through Krista's office to go through the sole sourcing. One of the differences that we had looked at is the opportunity to have individual coaching too. So while it provides group coaching, but then also attached with that would be the individual coaching. So we went through her office. We're happy to relook at that if we need to.
Are there any other questions? All right. All those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say aye. Okay. And then number 10, items for decision. Do we have any questions, concerns, or comments? Okay. At 10.01. Do we have any?
So I have a presentation that I'll walk through on the new course proposals. One of the things I wanted to start with is saying that this is not just my work. This is the work of the curriculum team, which includes about 23 department chairs and curriculum specialists at the elementary and secondary level, as well as it includes building principal participation and teacher participation. So there's a large group who put a lot of effort into the work that's before us tonight. So I appreciate that team very much, and several of those members are here tonight. Just to talk a little bit about the process that we go through, pretty much it's similar to curriculum. We can get feedback from internally, from curriculum teams, administrators, teachers on here are courses that we should have. We can hear from community members, business, industry, and also outside agencies, DESE, et cetera, might provide a rationale for why we might need a new course. And then this process, is an annual process that we go through. Course proposals are submitted. Those are written by department chairs. When they write those course proposals, they go to each of the individual building departments. They visit with their teachers. They take it to the principals. They visit with the principals. They get all the information that they need, and then they write the proposal. That comes back to a curriculum team to review. That curriculum team is, again, that large group of department chairs. That group gives it a thumbs up or a thumbs down as a recommendation on whether they want to move it forward. It's not a final yes or no, but it's a recommendation. That body of work goes then to the principals to review. The secondary principals sit down and review each of the course proposals, and they give it a thumbs up or a thumbs down. Do we support it moving forward? Do we not? Then we take that along with what the department chairs have said. Dr. Andrews and I sit down and we talk about, okay, based on these recommendations, what do we want to move forward to instructional operations team, to the superintendent's leadership team? That group gives it a final, yes, we want to move forward with this, no, we don't want to move forward with this. Then it comes to this group for final approval. So that's how a bill becomes a law for new courses and course revisions. One of the things I do want to say about tonight is that I've brought course revisions as well as new courses. In the past, we've just done new courses, but there are some really exciting changes that we're making that we felt like the board should be aware of. Our first new course recommendation is in science. It's a chemistry course, Introduction to Chemistry for health science classes, and this is for the innovation track. This is a dual enrollment course. It actually says dual credit, but it's a dual enrollment course. They'll be taking the course at the university level and getting credit both at in Lee Summit and at MIC for that. It's a weighted course, semester course, and I'd be happy to answer any questions as we go through about the individual courses if you'd like to, because it's a pretty extensive list, so however you all want to process that. The next new course, these are course changes. We are asking for dual credit for advanced broadcasting, advanced video technology, and IB. This is not the English language arts department, but these are obviously all broadcasting courses. This would provide another opportunity for students to get dual credit at the high school level, and this would be a course change. Another course in English language arts is the broadcasting special projects. This is a new course at the middle school level. This would be a second broadcasting course that would be available for students as kind of an addition to broadcasting. We've done this somewhat informally in the past. This really formalizes that process where there's another course with a written curriculum that takes students to that next level for those students who are interested in broadcasting. So just another opportunity for students. The next is a mathematics course. This is an international baccalaureate change in their curriculum. We bring it to this group to approve, but it's basically a requirement by IB that we change these courses. We're replacing IB Mathematics SL 11th and 12th grade with IB Mathematics Analysis and Approaches SL. This is a 2-year course. It's weighted 1.0 if the students take the IB exam. Obviously offered for dual credit their senior year, and this is a high school course, obviously. And this is also matches the IB Mathematics Applications and Interpretations SL course, SL being the standard level, HL being the high level. And this is, again, a requirement from IB in mathematics. In mathematics, there's another dual credit course, actually dual enrollment course from the Innovation Track program. This is trigonometry, which will help prepare students. It's just an alternate track to prepare students for Calculus 1. So they get all of the pre-calc requirements that they need for that. Jackie?
Dr. Flack, in the Middle Ages, when I was at Lee Summit High School, we had a trigonometry course. Just kind of curious, the ebb and flow of that particular type of course.
I can't speak to the history of that. Dr. Andrews, do you have a?
I don't want to speak out of turn, but I'm pretty sure we still do have trigonometry courses. This is just an addition that is a dual enrollment through the innovation track at NCC.
And Sherry Kane is here. Sherry, do you have?
Yeah, this is strictly just at MCC. For kids who weren't in the advanced track in high school math, it gives them an opportunity to prepare to teach.
Sherry is our secondary math curriculum specialist. So I appreciate her being here. So that trigonometry course would be a new course. Social studies, this is a request for a name change for years and years since I taught 7th grade social studies a long time ago. We've called it 7th grade Eastern Hemisphere. This would change it to Ancient World History, which would be a closer representation of what that curriculum is. It more accurately reflects the curriculum. So we're finally going to change that or request that that be changed. The next course was submitted by our special education department. This is called Peer Inclusive Environments. It says name change. That's not right. That's a new course. This would be offered to 11th and 12th grade students, 1 semester pending DESE approval. And this is really matching regular education students paired with special needs students. So we're excited to offer an opportunity for students. And this would be really a good course for students who are interested in going into the education track. The next is a course in our Family and Consumer Sciences department. This is Child and Adolescent Development. This is a name change and dual credit designation. This was formerly Child and Adolescent Psychology, and this is really just better alignment for courses and allows students who are interested in entering the education career. This provides them a better track for that credit, and this is a dual credit option. The next is in our Business Marketing and Information Technology department. We are requesting to change college accounting to accounting 2. The next slide is going to ask to change accounting to accounting 1. And this is really to provide accounting 2 in all of our high schools. Currently, college accounting is only offered online because we have 1 teacher who's certified to teach that dual credit online course. We will still offer it dual credit online, but want to offer it in the schools face-to-face as well to give students an opportunity to take accounting 1 and accounting 2. And again, the next slide is the accounting 1 course, and that's just a name change indicating the sequence of courses. The next, again, is a Business Marketing and Information Technology. This is IB Management HL. This would be a new course in IB, offering additional IB opportunities for students. This would continue with business management. So the next slide is a new course, a name change to change IB Business to IB Business Management SL. So you'd have an SL course and an HL course. You're just adding another opportunity for students in IB. The next class is a dual credit change, and this is really kind of exciting. This is changing our business, finance, and fintech course to allow 12 hours of college credit as opposed to just the 3 hours that we've had. And a shout out goes to Dr. Bonison, who I think worked, I can't tell you how many hours to arrange this, and is probably on a first name basis with most of the department chairs at the University of Central Missouri to get this done. But this is a tremendous opportunity for our students. If they take that year-long course, they can get up to 12 hours of dual credit. Business Marketing Information Technology. This is adding PLTW and AP designation to our PLTW courses for Computer Science A and the next course as well. It is already approved by AP. The PLTW courses are already approved by AP, so it doesn't make sense for us not to offer that for students. This would be weighted 1.0 for those students who take the AP test. And the next is the same thing with AP Computer Science Principles. The next are just some name changes with regard to our music program. We are requesting to change freshman women's choir to treble choir, women's choir to advanced treble choir, and men's choir to treble bass choir, really just to remove the gender specificity, and this follows our national guidelines for music. We're also requesting a name change for 7th grade band and remove the individual building designations for those courses. It used to be Mustang, Cub, and Falcon Band. Now it would be 7th grade band across the board. Similar recommendation for 8th grade band. Formerly,
I'm going to stop for just a second.
Oh, sure.
It's such a small question. Why does it matter if the middle schools have their school name associated with their band?
It makes it a little cleaner in the course catalog, so you don't have 3 different courses in there, and it's what the department recommended.
Okay, and I'm going to be the other one to ask on the choir one, just because I'm curious. Are female students allowed to enroll in the men's choir class and vice versa, right? Is that by the National Organization standards, right? Okay.
So again, 8th grade, changing it from concert band to 8th grade band. That is more of a consistency across the middle schools, as well as it fits the curriculum better. It's not just a concert band, it's the 8th grade band. And then we have a deleted course. We're getting rid of Mustang Honors Band. That, for some reason, was the only honors band that was out there, and it hasn't been offered for quite some time. And we're really great at addition and really bad at subtraction, so we wanted to take something out. So we're going to take that out. Sorry, Dennis. Okay, the next are our physical education recommendations. The first course that we're recommending is a Concepts of Physical Education. This is a new course. This would be an online course. And I can tell you that this is something that the PE department has struggled with for quite some time, trying to find a high-quality PE course that is an online course. Now with the ability for students to take courses through MOCAP and require the district to allow those courses, we really felt that we needed to create an online presence for physical education that we controlled. And so that's the course that the department created to fill that need. So this is Concepts of Physical Education. Next course is a fitness walking course, trying to provide a variety of opportunities for students. This is exactly what it sounds. It's a fitness course designed on walking. So the students go and walk every day. It does not have any organized games or activities with that. It's just truly a fitness walking course. This is a second PE credit option. The next is a Trends in Physical Education course, again trying to provide a variety of options for students. This course would really be a course that doesn't have any weight room activities. A lot of our students don't like to go into the weight room and do the weights piece, but this is Pilates, yoga, P90X, those types of activities that wouldn't include a weight room side to it. Again, just trying to provide additional opportunities for students. And the last is another course similar to the partnering course that we had in special education. This is Mentoring in Physical Fitness. This is a new course. It's a partnership with special education, regular education students mentoring special education students. And I believe that is our last course that's offered, but I'd be happy to answer any questions, and I know we have a few of our department members here who can answer questions.
All the way back on your very first slide, you gave us how the course becomes a course, which a cool video would have been good, with the guy jumping up and down.
I'll work on that for next year.
I'm curious, though, how do we ask students what they want in terms of revisions and/or like if a course needs some different revisions, things that they would like to see added? I know that sometimes that can be very difficult, but I'm curious where student voice fits in.
So student voice fits in from students saying, hey, I really want to have a walking course, talking to their department, and that that teacher bringing it to the lead teacher for PE and saying, hey, I'm hearing from the students, this is what we want to have. And so that's the feedback that they get. It's from the student to the teacher, from the teacher to make that recommendation to the department chair.
And then my only other question is on the peer inclusive class. Do we have other classes to essentially mirror in other districts? Because the slide said that it has to be DESE approved. And so I'm curious what the objectives, where the objectives fit in with that, how we navigate. I mean, I could be completely off here, how you navigate HIPAA things with some of the medical conditions that special education students might bring to this with regular education students. I'm just curious if we have something to mirror a framework off of.
I don't know. Kendra, would you like to speak to that? Kendra Burke is our special education department rep.
The Blue Valley School District has a program right now currently. They've had it for a couple of years, and so the students are able to attend more of the reg ed classes with their peers. They don't necessarily have to have an adult with them at that time.
Okay, see now my head's really churning here. So I can send other questions to you on this because I do have a couple of other questions on that. But then a regular ed student then would go to a class with a special education student and essentially become an aide, right, to try to help out with that particular student. Am I getting that right? Okay.
We have similar opportunities. I think 8+ tutors also come in from time to time to help students. So this would be an expanded opportunity, if I understand that correctly.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. Right.
They already took that art class, but they're going to take it again as part of a peer inclusive environment and be a peer support.
What kind of training would these kids have in terms of dealing with the students that they get paired with?
So the life skills teachers will provide some training. So initially they'll work in the classroom with the students before they would go out into that course with them. So they would receive training on the different types of disabilities, things that those students need to work on, ways to help them instead of helping them assist with the class instead of doing things for them.
I feel better now. All right, thanks.
Dr. Flack, several of these courses have, you mentioned, talk about the innovation track. I don't mean to catch you off guard here. I'm just asking, if I remember right, these courses next school year will be our 3rd year of innovation track, if I'm correct.
That's correct.
And if I can remember, which is hard for me to do nowadays, but if I can remember, when we started the innovation track, the students' course per hour was $115 per credit hour. 50? Is it?
I'm not sure.
I guess my bottom line question, has that have been able to maintain whatever that?
I'm seeing Don say it has not changed. Dr. Andrews
Okay.
said that.
Okay, I saw him shaking his head, no, it has changed. No, it's not that.
I don't believe that rate has changed at all. I know we still pay 50%.
Okay.
Okay, and so nothing has changed. There were students who free and reduced lunch could attend, and so basically what we voted on 2 years ago, they've been able to maintain that, I guess is my question.
Yeah, that program is still moving through. What this is just an expansion of additional courses that students would have the opportunity to take and trying to build that enrollment and work through.
Right.
So.
And what I again try to remember, the last couple of years, our student enrollment basically out at Longview has stayed the same in the 50s, 60 students.
I believe it is low 60s right now, 50s last year, but I mean, we've only had one new enrollment because this is only the 2nd year that we've had that.
Right. Okay, so that program is remaining healthy out there. So.
Yes.
Good. Thank you.
All right, Jackie?
We don't have a motion yet on the floor, right? Okay. I just want to make a comment, and someone else may also, and then they can do that, but I'm going to offer the motion to move the discussion forward. I think this is great. As a person that really didn't have much sports skill in high school, I love the walking piece. You know, that is fundamental for wellness programs. I don't care where you are. If you're part of one, that's it. They want you counting steps. So I think that's really great. I'm going to say something from a personal perspective, but make sure that the instructors understand that your people who are the students who are height challenged, like I am, that they look at how they count those steps. I learned through some discussions with an analysis of my steps that sometimes my steps are like 2 to a normal sized adults. So that way they can get the credit that they deserve for the work that they're doing.
I'll pass that.
I know that sounds really,
I'll
you know,
pass that
out of left field, but it was something I had no idea about. So with that, I'm happy to offer the motion. I move that the board approve the addition of the attached courses and course changes as presented for the 2020-2021 school year and beyond.
Judy?
Sorry, I have just one question. And I did send this question in, and I got an answer. And my question was in terms of any additional FTE that were needed to address these courses. And I think the concern that I have, and which I've had this concern for many years, is that it seems like we do this a little bit out of sync in terms of having the courses approved, but then not address the FTE requirement until the spring when we do our normal non-allocated requests. And so I guess my question is it assumed that any FTE associated with these new course proposals is approved at the time we're approving the courses? Because I do think at some point that down the road, as new additional FTE are considered, that is always a consideration of where, because you only have so much money and cutting other positions because these courses have been approved. And that's where I think it's just maybe not really a question, but kind of it seems a little bit out of sync to me. And if we could have FTE or know at this point what FTE might be needed when these courses are approved, that might be helpful as well. So that's my only comment.
Okay. At this point, we don't anticipate new FTE. We anticipate changing, but
All right. Any other questions or concerns? We have a motion on the floor, so all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you. 10.02. Thank you, Dr. Flack.
Yes, before you is the administrative recommendation for the Economic Development Council 2020 school grant. As Mr. McDowell shared with you, we feel great benefit from this partnership. Their work with expanding our commercial base, as well as the partnership that they provide in our schools, our membership on our secondary program expansion, as well as a number of other teams. So we appreciate that and are open it up to questions for the board.
All right, Jackie?
Thank you. I was wondering if Mr. McDowell would yield for a question. I have a couple I didn't ask earlier when you made your presentation. Do you know off the top of your head how much Blue Springs School District pays?
Us?
I'm sorry?
For us?
Yes.
Yes, $5,000.
Okay. And how many years have you been in that role? I couldn't
This
remember.
is my 6th year.
Okay. So then you were probably around when the audit was presented to the school district from, it was the now deceased state auditor, Tom Schweig.
I don't
Okay.
recall that, no.
All right, no, it's okay. It was on the school district, and I was reading it recently, and we were kind of dinged for exceeding the $10,000 that's posted on the website. And as far as I can remember from our votes, we've consistently continued with $25,000. And I'm not questioning the value of being a good partner. I don't know when the next state audit will come, as they do come. But that puts us on the order of magnitude of about $15,000 over, I'm going to say 5 to 6 school years. So that's in the range of $75,000 to $90,000. And I don't know if you've ever had that conversation with any of the superintendents over the years or not, because, I mean, we hear a lot about, $75,000, $100,000 increments in spending. And if, and I don't know if you remember, but I worked for the state auditor's office, different auditor. I tend to take these things as pretty much gospel. So tell me a little bit of the history you've had in any kind of conversations about what the right amount is for us.
Well, quite honestly, that there was one of the superintendents in the past was planning on giving us $30,000, upping it, and that did not happen. But that was the next move. But other than that, I have not had additional conversations.
Okay, thank you very much. I appreciate that, and I just, like I said, I thought it was a good time to raise that question, and I don't know if we want to, have that conversation today, or if we need to kind of contemplate if we want to look at that audit report and either modify the amount or kind of maybe delay decision until December. I don't know what you guys' pleasure might be.
And I'll defer to what the board would like to do.
Well, I would suggest that perhaps one of the things we would do would be to go back and look at the response that the board approved that went back to the state auditor after the audit was completed to address the specific item. In terms of helping, I do know one of the key components of the conversation with them was to equate the values that the EDC brings to our community and our tax base in terms of equating that to the contribution that the district makes. So I do believe there has been some, we attempted to do some of that financial analysis in the past as well.
Mike?
I think we clearly determine what a return on investment is, and is it a collaborative partnership, and where it goes, and does it allow us the opportunity to job share, mentor, whatever that might happen to be. So December makes sense. It gives us time. Work session item.
Is everyone good with that? Right.
Do you want a motion to table till the December? Yep, date certain, right. Okay, then I move that we table item 10.02 to the December board meeting, which is December 19th.
Ryan?
How many years in a row have we done $25,000? It's quite a few, right? I mean, it's been quite a few. Okay.
Judy?
My question probably would be directed to Mr. McDowell in terms of, is this problematic if we delay that for a month in terms of your cash flow?
Not for 1 month, it would not, no. I mean, we are on a January billing cycle. Our bills will come out in December typically, so that would be fine.
Can we be provided, since some of us probably have not seen what you're referencing in the audit, can somebody make sure that we see that?
Yeah,
It's hard obviously I'm just being upfront. It's hard for me to make an educated decision when I'm not familiar with what they're referencing.
Yeah, it's accessible on the state auditor's website.
Right, okay.
Yep. So I would suggest, Madam President, that we just ask Board Secretary Ismer to either get us the link or, attach it to a Friday board update.
Mike?
I would recommend, though, however, that we do find the response that the district made to the state auditor, because I do not believe that's on their website. That was more of a communication between the board and the state auditor at that point in time.
We will provide both in a Friday
I was gonna
update.
say, those records should be available.
Okay, thank you.
Audit was in what year?
2013. And it was
13.
completed in 14, yeah.
And Mr. McDowell, the 25,000 has been consistent for how many years? Ever since you've been here, I suspect? That's what we are? Yeah, okay. Yeah.
Any other questions? Do you think we'll have that tomorrow's board docs? All right, thank you, Linda. Appreciate it. All right, so we are going, yeah, we need to vote on tabling that. So all those in favor, say aye. Aye. All those opposed, say aye.
Aye. No, I mean,
So 2. All right. We're moving down to 10.03.
Dr. Caphart, would you like to speak about Panorama Student Success Platform and surveys?
I would be happy to speak on this item and may, depending on some of your questions, invite Dr. Hill and Dr. Barger up as well, depending on questions. So the item before you actually is threefold, and so I appreciate the opportunity to share each of those 3 opportunities for Panorama. The first is that of a pilot for 3 schools, an elementary, a middle, and a secondary school, for a data dashboard. Much of what we talked about in work session today, that opportunity for data to be real time, to be able to connect academic, behavioral, and social emotional data for both our teachers and our buildings and our district level. That is part of the Destination 2021 CSIP goal to look for a type of data dashboard. It does take quite a bit of time for our technology department to build with Panorama to make the connections between the different platforms and to be able to build that dashboard. So for us to try that for 3 schools for a second semester and to see if that does provide us the look that we would like to be able to disaggregate, to be able to triangulate and truly make decisions regarding students with that data at hand. So that's the first part. Panorama also provides a rich survey-based and has 2 different surveys that we are looking at. The surveys that are going forth in this proposal are for all schools. So one survey is our school climate survey, and that is to be provided for 3rd through 12th graders. So that's elementary, middle, and high school. And it's focused in several different areas. Those questions are ones that we will select as an instructional operation team from a bank of research-based questions, but truly focused on school climate, school safety, teacher-student relationships, school belonging, and valuing of schools. So we use their research-based questions, but those questions are also compared nationally and gives us a sense of where students are at to help us drive instruction, but also supports in that social-emotional learning. So that's one component. The other component that we are looking at and would like to include is an equity and inclusion survey. Again, this is for students 6th through 12th grade, and this includes questions, same bank of questions, research-based, and some of the top equity instructors and researchers in the country that are working with Panorama. So this looks at diversity and inclusion, cultural awareness and action, and sense of belonging. So again, this data can help us really parallel our equity plan by providing information from students and being able to track that both at a student level and at a building level and at a district level. So we would be looking at both of those surveys. They take less than 15 minutes for students to have because we know about survey fatigue, so we're very aware of when we would be providing those surveys to students. We would like to, if we are on a year plan, we would like to be able to give those between 2 and 3 times a year. We will probably do do one, if not two, this year, depending on when implementation can occur. So the pilot would be for the dashboard, and then the dashboard, the data from the surveys would be read into the dashboard for the 3 schools with the dashboard, and then there's just a basic dashboard for the other schools for the surveys. And then we would look at increasing that potentially over the course of the coming years. Questions that I can answer, or inviting some of my friends up to help answer too.
All right, Jackie has a question.
I may have just a couple, but I think you'll be able to respond to them. So you said up to 3 times a year. What would just be the general timing, like right after school starts and right before break? Or
We tend to have our windows currently for assessments. We have a fall, winter, and spring assessment, so it would be somewhat concurrent to that. We would want to be able to have that initial data, to have some benchmark information, and then to see growth and where do we go next. So yes, now we would probably do a winter and end of the year.
Okay. Confidentiality of responses. I think we, as adults, are all aware that sometimes parents and children have different perspectives on some of the issues that you'll be asking questions about. So will the students have a clear understanding of the confidentiality of their responses, whether from parental observation or even district individual identification?
Yes, the questions themselves, because they will be tied back to students. So we will be able to look at that information from a student level, from a classroom level, and a district level. So as they are being provided, we would share that that's information that we will be collecting as well.
I just thought of one more question. If a student responded in a way that a person reading the response was concerned for their health or welfare, would you be able to identify that person?
Yes, we would, because the information will be tied back to a student. So yes, absolutely. And again, we would triangulate that data to, we have SABRES data that we utilize for at-risk, so we would be able to use multiple different pieces of data. If it is an alarm right at that moment, absolutely we would.
Kim?
Thank you. Yeah, this sounds like a good tool to give us some important data on how well or what direction we need to go on our equity plan, and what our students are thinking, how they're feeling, and then that'll give us data on what we can respond. How does this platform help us in terms of, I'm trying to understand how we use the dashboards, and how does it help us try to start narrowing that achievement gap?
Sure, and that's a great example too, and that will come in because of the pieces of data that will all come together. So we will be able to, right now we have problem-solving teams in our buildings, and with the problem-solving team we might have a teacher that has Ames web data we look at from a academic standpoint 3 times a year, those 3 times a year window. So we might have Ames web data up, somebody else may have behavior data, somebody else may have attendance data. So around that table, they're looking at each student. So each student, based on what their needs are having those conversations. Now all of that is in together, as well as now their feeling and sense of belonging, their feeling and sense of where do they fit into their culture and their climate. So how do we pull all of that in together? And our hope is that it will continue to provide them. And really answers Mr. Murdoch's question on student voice. We are absolutely collecting student voice for how they are in feeling as a sense in their school environment.
Thank you.
Me? As I read this, it's 3 schools for a pilot?
3 schools for a pilot.
Starting.
They will start building that. That's why we're bringing it now. They'll start building that as soon as possible. Our hope is that will roll out to our schools January to be able to catch that winter window of data, and then we can use that with our 3 schools. We're looking at Richardson, Bernard Campbell, and Lee Summit High School. Those 3 schools have been a part of our district MTSS, multi-tiered system of support team.
Shame on me, because I did not dig into this and send you questions ahead of time, so I apologize. How does this meld into hand in glove with what EEC is doing? Was this their recommendation? Is this data they have? Is this to build on that? I mean, year over year I hear we're going to go with the next curriculum. We haven't really monitored the last curriculum, and we're throwing a new one in. I mean, I've got to know that this fits.
So this was not a recommendation of EEC. We have been doing, our support teams have been doing some research on a dashboard. We've been looking for a dashboard as well as looking for an opportunity to collect SEL, social emotional learning data for students. So as we have been researching Panorama truly for about 2 years, about a year and a half, there are several school districts around the area that are using Panorama in a different, on a variety. One in particular, Park Hill, is utilizing their full dashboard and went full dashboard at the beginning of this year for all of their schools. But survey data is being used in Park Hill, starting to be used in Liberty, being used in Springfield, and several other districts around the area. So in your question of, is this the next curriculum, I would not call this a curriculum.
No. I know it's not.
Okay, I would call this a data collection.
I'm just saying we jump at things, we jump at stuff, and we buy because it's like the latest,
Right.
shiniest, silvery tool. They do it in corporate world too. Our company's done it. And so if it fits, great. But we have, EEC training, which is going very, very well. This cost us $76.5, okay? $46.5 from Title IV.
Title IV,
funding.
we
Is that
receive.
federal?
That is a federal fund,
Okay.
yes,
And 30 from academic services, our budget.
yes.
Okay, so we have 95,000 with EEC, which is boots on the ground, feet on the street, face-to-face relationships, which I think goes a long, 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 long way. Surveys are anonymous, I suppose, right? It's all.
These
all
surveys are attached back to students, so we do
Okay,
know that.
so we
So
know.
at this point in time, it's just survey data, just student survey data.
Okay, and we know that students and families are comfortable that that's tied back to the student.
Yeah, they would be told that it is, yes. And the questions you can see in the attachment, some of the questions that are provided, they're, I don't want to say nebulous because they are research based in how does it help drive the conversations that our staff then have with our students. With EEC training, we're really looking at providing supports for our staff. What this provides is the voice of our students so we can help meld that student and staff connection to our equity conversations.
It's really a holistic approach at looking at
Okay.
the student. Yeah, so we're looking at from an equity lens, social emotional learning, academic. It ties everything together.
And this is delivered online in the evening at their own time, is it in the middle of school?
We'll
They're
do
taking
it in
15
class.
minutes?
Yeah, we would do it in class, yes.
So then how much time is this out of curriculum? Or how much time is the teacher dedicating to this? And you can say a little, but how does that build with all of the rest of the pile that seems to be growing? The inbox seems to be getting bigger and bigger and bigger.
So one of the points of this that we looked at is that it did, and survey fatigue, yes, we don't want to pull out time of instruction either. This is a max of 15 minutes if necessary for students. So this would be a quick at a glance. And for the most part, we have not talked about specifics, but I would assume that for some of our schools, this would be in a hour where they're truly focused on that social emotional learning.
The other plus for staff would be that it becomes more efficient for staff. Instead of going to multiple resources to get the information together, it's there in one resource.
For that student.
Yes.
For that student, yes.
It's an interesting dollar amount for 3 schools, considering EEC. When I weigh it side to side, and it's electronic and it's virtual, that's a large dollar amount. Granted, it's federal dollars. Hey, it's still dollars, and it's still public dollars.
Absolutely.
Interesting.
And I think our difference is EEC, that holistic approach that Dr. Miller just spoke about. EEC is currently training for our staff, whereas this is, are we providing what our students need? And it's the voice of our students.
Judy.
And I think I'm going to ask a couple of clarifying questions that might help Board Member Allen in terms of the cost, because that was my first initial blush was the cost. But I think in asking that question earlier in the week, the information that I got back, and please correct me when I go astray here, we would do kind of the complete dashboard at the 3 schools. and that's a cost of $19,500.
Correct.
And that would address, which I think is the academic behavior, social, emotional, real-time data for district and school leaders and teachers. Is that correct?
That's correct, yes, the 19.5.
Okay, so that to me is the tool that specifically would help teachers and building principals meet needs of their students in their school. Is that
That would be correct.
Okay.
That would pull in academic behavior and social emotional,
Okay,
correct.
And so then 54,000 is to have the survey, which is the climate survey and the equity and inclusion survey available to all our 7 students.
Yes.
Is that correct?
That is correct.
Okay, so to me, that put it in a little bit different perspective with that explanation.
Yes.
So I just wanted to make sure I was understanding that correctly. And then that 2 surveys is the climate survey and the equity and inclusion survey.
Correct,
Okay.
yes.
Okay. I don't know if that helps answer your
Does with the
question or not,
dollars.
but and just the only other clarification would be in the terms of the 3 schools. I believe you said Richardson.
I did, we had originally looked at Greenwood.
Okay.
And Greenwood has some other things that they're working on some other work with another, not vendor, but some other SEL supports. So Richardson, we've made that switch to Richardson actually just today.
Okay, I was gonna say in our
Yes,
board package.
just today.
Back is Greenwood, so I just wanted to clarify. Thank you.
I appreciate it.
Ryan.
Just a couple of quick questions regarding the surveys. Number one is, are the surveys able to or allows for any open-ended responses from students regarding any of the questions?
So we could add an open-ended question if we wanted to, yes. They have cautioned us a little bit on how to, if you add an open-ended question, how do you then measure that for consistency across the system? So we have not determined whether we would or not, but it is an option.
Okay, because when you were talking about it, that it would tie back to each individual student, that's when I think an open-ended question could prove pretty beneficial, obviously, if somebody has a specific concern and/or idea. Secondly, when we actually put these together, what kind of training will the teachers have to be able to navigate the dashboards and stuff like that? And how quickly will they be able to get up to speed on this?
So there is minor training involved in that. So we would work with the schools specifically on the dashboard piece. Once we know that it's up and running, we know, and we have asked those 3 schools, we know there's going to be tweaks that they're going to have to work through. So they will have it's less than an hour of us really going through that, very similar to some of the training we did with NWEA, being able to see what that looks like. We would start with the leaders of the building and then work through either their leadership team or through teachers to make sure that it's the most effective and efficient as we're looking at that data piece.
Okay, and then my last question would be is, if we find this program to be successful with these 3 schools, obviously I would assume the recommendation would then be to create a dashboard for the remaining schools. On a year-to-year basis, are we able then to change the bank of questions that we do for the survey based on how responses are going, what needs we're seeing within the district? Will that be kind of an evolving process?
Yes, we can certainly do that. Part of the cautionary piece of that is you don't want to completely change the questions because you want to have some longitudinal data as well.
Right.
But absolutely, we can do that. We could do that throughout the course of the year. I don't think you'd want to do that in a 1-year time. You would want to change it from year to year for some questions.
Okay, thank you.
Mike.
All right, so we know what this does, we know what the outcomes can be. Was there feedback, integration, back and forth with Richardson teachers, with educators saying, yes, no, this is what we found? What sort of communication was done at that level?
So we have had several presentations. One of the presentations on Panorama was to the leader of the building. So we have primarily done leader. However, we have had those conversations, and the requests have come in through teachers on our MTSS district level team of, we want a dashboard, we want more data for students, we want to be able to know where our students are at in this level. So we're being somewhat responsive to teachers on that team, and we have Richardson, Campbell, and Lee Summit High School on that team.
Okay.
Jackie.
I wanted to offer a motion, and I know we can continue to have discussion, but I wanted to get that on the table before somebody questions what we're going to do, I move that the board approve the purchasing of Panorama Student Service Success Platform for the 3-year pilot schools and the use of the school climate and equity and inclusion surveys to be implemented district-wide for the amount of $76,500.
Okay, Judy?
I just want to clarify in terms of, or if you could comment on what year 2, 3, et cetera, might look like.
From a financial standpoint or from an implementation standpoint? Both. So implementation, that's really why we're starting with 3 schools. If successful, we could either go with half of our schools in a year or 2, or go ahead and go with all of the remaining schools. So that would somewhat be for that pilot piece. Cost-wise for a 3-year renewal currently is $154. So that's not in addition to the 76. That would be a total of $154. And we would be looking at as budgeting from our academic service budgets, as well as some through student services and some through assessment.
So is that 154 the 3-year renewal just for the 3 pilot schools?
That would be for all dashboards, all surveys, all schools.
Awesome, thank you.
So one more question, sorry. It's a 3-year program or 3 schools, 1 year?
It's 3 schools, 1 year currently.
Okay, and then 154 becomes 3 years?
Would become 154 a year for 3 years if we decide to continue.
And this has to be administered by teachers, or could this be actually counselors, or what's the?
It's really a login for a student, so it's not a teacher administering it. It's
Okay.
a student logging in with the link.
The teachers really, I guess my whole problem
The teachers
is-
aren't really doing anything. They're just supporting. Once the data comes back, those are rich conversations between teachers and leaders in the classroom. And then how does that change instruction in the classroom? But as for the giving of the survey, the teacher really doesn't do much.
That, by theory, I think that sounds good. By practicality, I'm sure it takes some time.
It may.
Yeah.
It may.
Any more comments, questions? All right, we have a motion. So all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. All right, thank you.
Thank you.
Ten 10.04, we have a personnel report.
Dr. Dulcem.
Good evening. Human Resources presents the personnel agenda for your approval this evening.
I move to approve the personnel transactions as presented in contracts issued.
Okay, are there any comments or questions? All right, all those in favor say aye. Aye. All those opposed say nay. Thank you.
All right, thank you.
And then item 12, we had 3 written reports. Does anybody have any questions on any of those reports? Kim Fritchie.
Yes, thank you. I have some comments and then a few questions, if that's okay. First, I'd like to say thank you to Dr. Barger and all the teachers who work with the students in the AIM, Aspire, Advanced Study, and the IB programs. Thank you for your planning, your creativity, and your ability to challenge and inspire our students. Second, I couldn't help but notice on the AIM Aspire report that the chart shows a dip in the percentage of students served who are Black or are on free and reduced lunch. However, the multiracial category did increase. Third, the 6th grade service project, I believe, is an excellent way for our students to be involved in our community as they work with Lee Summit Social Services. And finally, I'd like to applaud the efforts of our high schools in actively encouraging and targeting students to enroll in IB coursework. So I guess my question here for Dr. Barger, since this is her report, is Would you like to perhaps comment on my second point?
Second point being
The one about the AIM and Aspire report showing the dip in the percentage of students served in our AIM and Aspire programs who are Black and or on free and reduced lunch.
Yep, absolutely. So we know that one of our goals is to ensure that our program includes underrepresented populations as well. And we also know that our data continues to show that to some degree there is work to do in that area. So obviously the first thing to be somewhat aware of is that those percentages can ebb and flow relatively quickly because we have a relatively small N. But that being said, so when you see an increase in multiracial or a decrease or an increase in Hispanic, we may see a decrease of another particular ethnicity. But aside from that, we know that we need to increase our representation of non-white and free and reduced, twice exceptional, underrepresented students. So the efforts that we are moving forward with towards that end have been very conscientious and purposeful. And yet, as is the case with many gifted programs across the nation, we continue to struggle to hit that goal. So one of the things that we ensure that we do is use a universal screening process for identification as opposed to a referral process, which is recommended by the National Association of Gifted Children as the most inclusive way to be bias-free as possible. So essentially, every student has a certain score to meet academically, and then at the 95th percentile or higher on the NWEA, which we discussed in work session, then students are moved to the OLSAT, where there's a 95th percentile or higher, and then the students who are in the 95th percentile or higher are moved to the IQ test, and there are IQs. I know that in past years there had been some question about the IQ test, and we've actually done some looking at our own data and found that it was not the IQ test that appeared to be the source of discrepancy, but that, that we were not having representation make it through the first screening, the academic screening of that 95th percentile on the NWEA nationally. And so we need to continue to work to think about how our Tier 1 instruction, both for this purpose, but also for the data that we looked at upstairs, can help mirror that. The other thing that we established in the last couple of years, I guess this is probably year 3 of that, was that advocacy process. The advocacy process was not simply created to identify underrepresented populations. It was our hope to see it help to grow that. Again, the data is not playing out that way, but the intent with advocacy was to ensure that students for whom the typical screening process did not capture a student, and yet multiple adults, be it at home or in the school, really felt like the student was continuing to demonstrate gifted qualities, that there was a means for a collective data review of the student to look at the multiple sources of data as another means to enter the program. So lots of work to be done, and I don't know that I have the solution there, nor do I know that many of the gifted programs in the nation do, other than to continue to try to seek that out. And, there are some programs in the nation and even in the state that run some supports to help get students who might be close to the mark. We know that we have our gifted team sitting on the district MTSS process, because one of the things we know about a comprehensive MTSS process is that it is about providing scaffolded supports for those who need it, but it can also be providing scaffolded extensions for those who need it. So I think that that's probably our best next focus right now, is to think about how AIM and Aspire and gifted services and enrichment can connect to that MTSS work. But no, unfortunately, we continue to battle underrepresentation and work toward resolving it.
Thank you.
Mm-hmm. Jackie.
Thank you. I don't know who needs to answer this question, but the teachers and the folks in the AIM Aspire department who are helping to identify the children, did we include them in the first level of EEC training?
So we did to some degree. So The first process, obviously, is one that's very numerical and doesn't involve, for the very purpose that I think you're probably hinting at, like the effort to avoid that unconscious bias. So when we move to those folks who sit on that advocacy team, there are a number of gifted teachers. I sit on the team, and there are some administrators and a counselor who sit on the team. So some of us have gone through that training. We do have 2 gifted teachers who went through the leadership training in the cohorts with the principals. We also have a couple of those gifted teachers who've been to an in-depth session through NAGC on equity in terms of gifted screening. So certainly very conscientious conversation as we think about potential bias. Some of the conversations, speaking generally, because obviously what happens in that setting is confidential, really looking to see if students, ELL students, or students who may not be identified as ELL, but we find out speak different language, might be provided a second assessment that's a nonverbal assessment to provide another score, or that if there was a vast discrepancy between verbal and nonverbal, we might investigate as to see whether we need a different assessment to gather more data, or if somebody can move forward, other pieces that would show that quality of giftedness. Oftentimes, advocacy is about seeking other sources of data, and not often is it about making a decision one way or the other.
Okay. And then I don't know if you've had the opportunity after you've pulled this report together, but it just kind of popped into my head with the discussion going on. Is there a district that we would consider a best practice district in terms of their identification of the free, I mean, I'm looking at the trends. I mean, it's not just our black students. You know, we've got some not favorable trends in some of the other ways. And when you're talking about such a small number, I mean, we're really talking about just a handful of kids. And, you know, you have somebody move out of the district, you know, we've lost them from the program. So I just didn't know if there might be a best practice resource for you all to model after.
Mm-hmm. So NAGC tends to be what we would go to, which would be the nationally normed. In the state, there are a variety of paths. I think at some point we need to work our way likely through the EEC training and understanding before we would be willing to embrace some. Various districts have multiple tiered screening processes. Some districts do a referral. Others will provide an IQ more initially without the academic component. This is a fine balance, because we also know that when you're going to do a universal screen, which is the best way to catch all, it also means that you're providing assessment to a whole swath of students, and we're trying to balance that as well. So can I name a specific district that's doing it best practice? I could give you names of different districts who have approached it philosophically different. I think building the EEC work and our understanding of where we are with some of the philosophies would need to be in place before we were ready to have some of those conversations.
Judy.
I have a couple of questions on the IB, the Secondary Advanced Studies in IB. Just clarification probably mostly, but on the opportunity charts that were in the packet.
Yes.
Those are specific to each of the high schools, and the total number of students represented there is just the 11th and 12th graders. Is that an accurate statement?
That is correct. The work that EOC, or EOS, excuse me, Equal Opportunity Schools that we do, that's where those charts are from.
Okay.
And they work with just 11th and 12th grade programming.
And so just a couple more questions on that. How are the targets percentages determined?
Yeah, if I'm remembering correctly, the target is actually set by the representation of the majority group. So they look at that.
Okay.
If you will see the first one, I believe that was on there.
I see that, so I think your answer is correct, but I do think that would be a good, like a footnote to put on there.
Okay.
For anybody who's looking at that. And then my last question is, in terms of the low income that's identified here, is that the same threshold that's used to determine free and reduced lunch? Do you know?
Yes, yeah, it is based off our free and reduced lunch students.
Okay, I think that was my questions. Thank you.
Yep.
Brian.
So, Dr. Barger, you don't have to get back up. I'm only going to make a statement. It's not a question. So, just wanted to spare you there, right there. Real quick, I just wanted to tell my other fellow board members here is that we asked questions about representation in Ames and Aspire, and we were concerned, and I think there's certainly room for growth. So let's start there. I want to acknowledge that. But I think it's important that we notice that the actual number of percentage is actually gone up here this last year, that our Black, Hispanic, and multiracial groups combined make up 1.3% more of Ames and Aspire than they did last year. So while there's absolutely room to grow, I think we need to at least acknowledge that we made some strides and we just got to keep going forward in that realm. And so it was 8.4 last year, it's 9.7 this year. Hopefully it'll be, 11% the next year. And so I just think we need to make sure that we're looking at the whole number there.
Thank you for pointing that out. Kim?
This is on 12.03. Are we ready for that one yet? Are we?
Yes.
Okay. This is, I just wanted to make a comment on professional development report by Dr. Daniel. Great report, by the way, Dr. Daniel. Today I took some time to look through all of the links that Dr. Daniel provided on the report. It was very enlightening. I hadn't realized all of the professional development opportunities that were afforded to our staff members. It's been a few years since I've kind of been out of the system loop, 2011 to be exact, as far as being in the schools. But I was amazed at the number of graduate courses offered during this fall semester alone that our teachers could select to be a part of. And most of those are taught by, it appeared to be our own district's teachers. That's amazing. So I'd just like to say thank you to all those staff members for providing valuable insight into our student learning that affects them intellectually, emotionally, and socially. And many of those courses that are being taught specifically help address equity issues for our various student learners. So I applaud the fact that our teachers and our administration have seen the need, and they are specifically offering coursework to our staff members out there to try to meet those needs. So thank you very much.
All right. In keeping with this theme of Thanksgiving, I want to wish all my fellow board members and everyone out there happy Thanksgiving. I also want to say thank you for your giving, because you all have given a lot to this community, and I appreciate it. So with that, our meeting is adjourned.